Devil worship in France. Are the question of Lucifer a record of things seen and heard in the secret societies according to the evidence of initiates? A.E.Waite. And as, Alphonse Levi, as some people will know, it's like, oh, that's a different, he's quoting a different author. No, he's talking about himself. Chapter 2 is the Mask of Masonry. And we continue with 4 persons are cited as having been coadjutors in his own country. His old friend, Gallatin Mackey, in honorable memory among Masons, a Scotchman named Longfellow, whom some French writers have ludicrously confused with the poet, one Holbrook, about whom there are few particulars, and finally, Felius Walder, a native of Switzerland, originally a Lutheran minister, afterwards said to have been a Mormon, but in any case, at the period in question, a well-known spiritualist, an earnest student of occultism, as were also Holbrook and Longfellow, and that what is more to the purpose, a personal friend and disciple of the great French magus, Alphonse Levi. Albert Pike was himself an occultist, whether upon independent initiative or through the influence of these friends, I am unable to say. Mistiana Vaughan, who is one of the succeeding witnesses, affirms that it was an early and absorbing passion. However this may be, the new reformed Palladium was kept most rigidly separate from all other Masonry, the Scottish Rite included. That is to say, no initiate of even the highest grade had, as such, the right or opportunity of entrance into the occult order, which at the same time was chiefly recruited, as already stated, from the higher ordinary grades. For the recipients of the new light became silent from the moment that it was imparted. Now it was exclusively in the Palladian order that Albert Pike and his confidants propagated transcendental religion. It is said to have been understood by them. In other words, while the Scottish Rite continued to speculate, the Palladium betook itself to magic, and succeeded so well there was a perpetuity of communication between Charleston and the unseen world. It does not appear from the evidence either when or why Albert Pike and his collaborators transformed their allegiance from the god of the sages to Lucifer. Lucifer by definition would mean something secondary because it brings some other light that wasn't created by it per se. I'm not defining that quite, but it implies in its meaning that it's like a Venus to the sun sort of figure. Venus reflects the light of the sun. The Catholic Church regards all magic as diabolism. Well, it uses the word magic as hate speech, just like the Jews before them referred to the Chesti, the Chaldeans, for performing their kushti and try to say, oh, they're trying to get magical powers by praying to God 5 times a day. It's like, no. And magic meant the skill, the art of religion, of spirituality. So it was taking the authority, so in that sense, people refer to magic as taking the authority away from the so-called religious elite, the so-called apostolic order. Apostolic, yeah, whatever. The Catholic Church regards all magic as diabolism and makes or tolerates no mystic distinction between the black and white departments of transcendental practice. But the specific character of the Palladian cultus is so clearly defined in the depositions that it cannot pass as a presentation of magical doctrine distorted by prejudice. It is almost stripped of correspondence with any existing school of occult teaching, and it is either the true statement of a system founded by Pike, or the deliberate invention of malice. The thaumaturgic phenomena tabulated in connection therewith are of an extremely advanced kind, including the real and bodily presence of Lucifer at frequent and regular intervals. Now, by initiations of various types, I can try to arrange an experience and strip down to its structure. It's certainly of a psychological value, and what it sounds like is what's going on here is that there's been a structure of mysticism of men's orders left to create some sort of thing, but stripped of its connection to mystical orders and particular religions would have meant it was a fraternity open to all, not just, such and such of this church are going to be exposed to this. When Mazzini died, he indicated to Albert Pike a possible successor in Adriano Lemmi, who became in due course the chief of the executive department, and when in the fullness of years, the pontiff of Luciferian Freemasonry himself, passed on to the higher life of fire, which is the Palladian notion of beatitude, and in the peace and joy of Lucifer, the sovereign pontificate itself, after resting for a short period upon incompetent shoulders, in the person of Albert Gallatin Mackey, was transferred to the Italian, the seat of the dogmatic directory, was removed to Rome. A split in the camp ensued, inspired by a lady initiate, since famous under the name of Diana Vaughan, and to this we owe most of the revelations. Furthermore, with the death of Albert Pike, the cultus of Lucifer is said to have undergone a significant transfiguration. For him, the conception of Satan was a blasphemous fiction, devised a denied priestcraft to obscure the veridic luster which inheres in the angel of the morning star. But in this view represented, as it is said, rather the private opinion of the Masonic pontiff, impressed by his strong personality on the lodges he controlled, and propagated by the instruction of his rituals. The more discerning among his disciples regarded it as the besetting weakness of their grand old man, and surreptitiously, during his lifetime, of the cultus of Satan, pure and simple, that is, of devil worship, the adoration of the evil principle as evil, was practiced at numerous Palladian centers. After his death, it is said to have unmasked altogether, and Adriano Lemmi himself is depicted as an avowed Satanist. Now, Luciferian itself is about becoming a Lucifer, a light bringer, doing your own hero deeds, bringing out your own sense of knowledge and understanding, light, love, life, in, not all. End and start, expression. Lux et nox. Now I believe we fairly interpret. Now I believe it will fairly interpret the feeling of all readers to admit that when the authority of a great church has been brought into operation to crush a great institution by charges which most seriously discredit it, which represent it diametrically, and in all respects oppose its internal nature to its ostensible, I'm not speaking right today, ostensible appearance. We must by no means make light of the impeachment. We must remember the high position and the many opportunities of knowledge which are possessed by such an accuser. You must extend to the accuser at least the common justice of an impartial and full hearing, a priori considerations of probability and inferences from our previous knowledge, much less from the opinions obtained at second hand, must not be permitted to prejudice a case of so great importance. We must be prepared, if necessary, to admit that we have been egregiously deceived, and if the existence of Palladian Masonry can be proved an undoubted fact, we must assuredly do full honor to the demonstration, and must acknowledge with gratitude that the Church has performed a service to humanity by unveiling the true character of an institution which is imposing on a vast number of well-intentioned persons within its own ranks who are admittedly unaware of the evil to which they are lending countenance and support. On the other hand, the same spirit of liberality and justice will require that the demonstration in question shall be complete in support of such terrible accusations. Only the first quality of evidence can obviously be admitted. Well, what's evil? And if you turn to the Bible, there are some things in there that you would have to consider, if there's a difference. I'm not saying that there's, it's better than than certain other spiritual books, and I'm not saying that it's not better, that's not mostly true in its cosmological claims. I'm saying that there's some falsehood and some evil in the Bible, and you never know whether a fundamentalist or conservative what they're going to bring out of that, and you never know what the liberals and the reformists are going to add to their past as well. But even the parts that don't contradict the other parts of the Bible, you always, whatever church, you're always going to find something against it. Now, I do, from time to time, feel like it's best to defend one church or another, or to bring out the good and talk about the good and truth, and that remains in the Christian tradition. But I'm not going to deny the issues with it, and I'm not going to make the issues seem like it's the entire thing. But anyways, in the chapters which follow immediately, I shall produce in succession the evidence of every witness who has anything to tell us about Platonism, including those whose experiences of a personal kind, and those whose knowledge is derived. Wherever possible, the testimony of each witness will be weighed as we proceed. What is unconvincing or irrelevant will be dismissed, while that which is important will be carried over to the final summary. In 2 cases, only will it be found necessary to reserve examination for special and separate treatment. So, if you refer to my Ramadan list, you can see the importance, and my New Age religion list, you can see that there's an importance to insight roles in terms of the New Age religion list. You can see whether or not a person would believe these things. A certain experience by taking part in the group can engineer an experience. Now, Now, believing doesn't necessarily produce the certain experiences, but a definition of Luciferianism can be said to, you will join the groups for that purpose. Now, Satanists will do that too. A Satanist will join a group either to create issues in the group or to use the group towards their own ends, and, having a personal experience can be part of it.